Hello, I just wanted to talk about Deepwoken for a bit, since recently they opened up the game for free for a week, and I have been playing it for a bit. To start off, I have to say Deepwoken is a game with permanent character loss. Losing character is part of the game that should be expected, to let everyone know that this is how this game runs, so nothing else will surprise you more than this. Also, just to let anyone seeing this know, the things I talk about are all based on my experience while playing Deepwoken. I'm not trying to say I know everything like monster pattern, all the weapon, talents, mantra, and the lore. Deepwoken by itself is already packed with too many things I can process in a short time, with my total playtime consisting about 12 hours from the free week. So this is just me talking about what I know as a new player and about how I feel about Deepwoken. First, when you enter the game, it will send you to the tutorial. This is also the first place you will see your character and its aspect, which is basically your character's race. Each aspect also have their own cosmetic features and trait. For example, my character has 2 feathers on its head, which indicate that it's a Tyran. And the trait that comes with it is a feather glider, plus 3 agility and plus 2 willpower. These boosts aren't significant, but it does give you a quality of life function depending on your aspect. Continuing on with the tutorial teaches you the bare minimum of basic combat. How to use a campfire, how to sell item, buying and using training tool, and choosing new abilities. While this tutorial is better than nothing, it left out a lot of things. This makes you have to read through the controls and assume you know everything on the interface and what the key terms mean. There are just too many unanswered questions, like how I was supposed to know that vent does and tempo is. What is the weight and what are the effect? What is the difference between one-handed and two-handed stance? These are just a few unanswered parts there's no explanation in game that I have to go find a wiki online to search for. Not only that, most of these have combat advantage to them. Like tempo is only shown during combat and increase from being hit or hitting. Higher tempo will increase your ether regen during battle, and you can press G to spend tempo to use vent to try push the opponent back. Weight increases posture damage, and using a two-handed stance will increase your posture damage by 10%. These can all change the outcome of a battle, especially for a game where a losing character is suspected. Maybe I accidentally skipped some kind of dialogue, I don't know, but if it really doesn't tell you about all these basic mechanics, I don't think it looks good for your game if you can't even teach the new player necessary information and needing an external website for it. Like realistically, there's no way I will have saw, oh, the blue bar show up in combat is definitely the tempo bar, and I can use vent if I needed to. Or like, wow, I just realized having higher tempo mean higher ether regen. There's no way I will focus on how ether and tempo bar looks like mid-combat to figure out these mechanics. Moving on to the character creation, the moment you enter it will tell you to make a decision for Pathfinder or Vow of Iron. Since I'm nowhere near the level of an experienced player, most thing I talk about will be the Pathfinder side, not Vow of Iron. Most things are actually pretty self-explanatory in the character creation, but I want to tell you that the first attunement you choose is automatically unlocked after you press finalize. The other attunements require their own quest to be unlocked, but once an attunement is unlocked, you can select it from the character creation for all your characters. Another section is the Echo Shop. The Echo is the currency you get after your character has died. The amount of Echo you gain is dependent on how many things you have achieved on your character before it dies. But for now, you just have to know that it's something you can use to purchase an account-wide upgrade. For Origins, I will talk about this a little bit here and go in depth later, but what you need to know for now is you only have Castaway's Origin, where you start the game and can choose to spawn either at Etrius or the Isle of Vigils. If you just started the game, I would suggest you spawning at Etrius, since most of the NPC are closer to each other and easier to remember. Either way, when you spawn, you will be pointed to the docks to create a boat to sail to Eresia. To level up or power up in Deepwoken, you need it to increase any 15 attribute point. There isn't a real indication to know how much XP you have, but hovering over the stats seems to tell you if a stats is ready to be level up a point. If a stat is ready to be increased, use an appropriate training tool and your stat will increase. Using a training tool before a stat have enough XP to level up will set your intent on that stat. So when it has enough XP, it will automatically level up by 1. You can also right click a stat to lock or set a limit, so you wouldn't go past a certain point, if you want a stat at a certain number. Anyway, anytime you increase your power by 1, you will get to pick a few cards out. The yellow cards are talent and mantras are the purple one. Talents are more like passive skill while mantra are basically skills. From there on out, you can use what you learned in the tutorial to fight and explore the islands. If you're fighting enemies and monsters, it is very important to read their movement to parry, dodge, and block, so spend some time getting used to the combat mechanics. The Castaway Origin also comes with a Justicar whistle, which you can summon a player from the Justicar Origin for help while in combat. So if you are in a pinch, you can get help. For the Pathfinder path, there really isn't an end goal for it, but if you don't have a clear goal or a build to make, I can suggest you reaching power 20 first, since the first time you reach it on your account you can get a free character slot. The next thing I want to talk about is Oath. To me, Oath is similar to a subclass that you see in other games. These all ranges from easy to very hard requirement for newer players. I don't even know how people find these, but I only find out Oath and Oathless was a thing until I talked to the NPC in a cave on Miner's Landing. For me, I just used the Fade Trimmer Oath, since according to the wiki, the only real requirement is to be power 12 and change your appearance 12 times at a barber. But these give you different skills and traits for your character. If you don't like your mantra or you can mix and match, these are the expands on the skill that person can potentially use to give a wide variety of skill, especially with the many talents that Deepwoken can offer. Attunements and Origin can also be unlocked through your regular gameplay with Pathfinder. Attunement unlocks usually require you to turn in different materials to certain NPC to get a potion that unlocks the attunement. For example, you can give 5 Galestone to the Galebreath trainer on the Isle of Virgils to get a Skyblood potion, which unlock Galebreath. For Origins, aside for Castaway, these need to be unlocked through playing the game. Like reaching max reputation with Central Authority will unlock the Authority inside Origin. These changes the way you play on Pathfinder. Using the Authority Ensign Origin as an example again, this Origin lets you spawn at Port Merit and have you promote through the ranks similar to a military, undertaking missions assigned to you and your squad mates. Central Authority member can also equip any Authority related equipment without meeting the requirement. After reaching a certain rank, you can also join one of the 3 divisions, each division giving their own weapon, armor, and talents. Another Origin I tried is the Lone Warrior. This allows you to spawn directly into the Trial of 1 dungeon and set your initial spawn at the coast of Mini Tirsa. Unfortunately, I could not properly see what the Trial of 1 has to offer since after I defeat the Megalodon, the rest point doesn't fall all the way down to the bottom and is stuck midair. I did not know that you need to invest points through the character menu. It didn't give any indication whatsoever, so I couldn't figure out how to progress until the end of the free week. Anyway, Origins offer many different gameplay changes which lets you experience different ways of playing Deepwoken. The world of Deepwoken is actually quite big with plenty of places to explore, as well as many dangerous places, monsters, and enemies. The place where you first spawn as is the Etrian Luminance. This is where Etrius, Isle of Virgils, Eresia, and Mini Tirsa is located. Also, if you're wandering in Mini Tirsa, be careful of void zones. You can tell if you're in a void zone when your screen border has white veins surrounding it. Void zones are a bit of a special location where any healing is significantly reduced. Campfire also lasts significantly shorter, and any death will immediately send you to the depths. If you feel like you're prepared, you can try going to the Eastern Luminance, where Songseeker Wild, Summer Isles, Miner's Landing, and the Hive is located. I haven't explored much of the Songseeker Wilds, but I do know there's a mine there that spawned mine skipper that drop all types of orbs, and near the top there's a house where you can get the Chime of Conflict, which I will explain later. Another place I have explored is the Miner's Landing, which if you go behind the water wheel of the settlement, you can find a person called Deep Delver Tao that lets you enter Ceramid Hollowed if you have a neutral or above reputation with Ignition Delver. The Ceramid Hollow is a dungeon that lets you operate the drill to go down, which the deeper you go the stronger the monster. Every time you go down 100 meters the drill will stop and you'll need to get out to mine ores to fuel the drill. If you defeat all the monsters on that layer, you will be rewarded with experience and a chest in front of the drill. You can also go back to the lobby area where there are many useful things like rest spot, training tool shop, and a blacksmith. Other than these two places and a bit of authority territory, I don't think I explored much here. The depths is an entirely different area that can be accessed by using a whirlpool in the overworld, or dying while your health bar says you are injured. If your health bar says injured, it's either you are in a void zone or you have already died once. Leaving the void zone will return your health bar to normal if you have not died yet. If you're still in the overworld, this can be recovered by leveling up once. But keep in mind that leveling up in the depths does not take you out of the depths. The only way I know how to get out is to complete the depth trial in the center of the city. Anyway, in the depths, any death will send you to a place called the Fragment of Self. This place has a floating island on the side you can use to pass down items to your next character, and a statue that can revive your character for 1000 Robux. But it can only be used once per character. Talking to yourself at the end of the island will show you how many echoes you gain and take you back to the character creation menu to restart your character. Moving back to the depths, it has many enemies suited for a more experienced player, but one wrong move and it could be the end of your character. I can't really tell you how much this place is because most of the time I just run straight towards the elevator to the depth trial. But I can tell you that there is another layer to the depths that can be accessed by Castle Light and jumping into the void with high HP. For Castle Light, you can only enter if you enter the depths through a whirlpool. If you're level 15 and enter the second layer through Castle Light, you will get a light hook, which lasts 20 minutes. This lets you leave the second layer without defeating the boss, but you will drop every item you have picked up on the second floor. It also automatically active if you die while the light hook is still in your inventory. This will take you back to the first layer. This is pretty much how I know about it. Next I'm going to talk about how I feel personally about Deepwoken. For me, I really think this is a great game with so many places to explore and so many mantras to see. There really is a lot to see in Deepwoken. I also like the card system you get when you level up. I think it's really cool where each character can have different mantra and talents. Talents can also change certain effects on different mantras, like having the Surge Path talent turns your Thunder Call attack into Dark Blue Thunder, or having the Gilded Path with Iron Sing will make your Iron Sing turn gold. This gives so many variations to different playstyle. On top of that, different origins can also affect how you raise your character, so you can find the one that you like. As for the combat portion, I think the monsters are well made. The monster will always show certain hints or signs before they use their attack, so it's understandable that failing to counter these movements might lead to your death. To me, it's more like if you understand a monster's movement, you will do well against them. But for the human type enemy and other players, you need to know how to counter mantras and their weapons. The players specifically will each have very different sets of mantra and talents, which makes a huge difference between fighting monsters and player. One of the things I don't like from Deepwoken is the PvP. I'm not saying PvP is a bad thing, they even have an item called the Chime of Conflict that you can get from an NPC. The Chime of Conflict is essentially an item that sends you to a ranked PvP lobby, where you can fight other people without worrying about your character's life. But it is just that oftentimes there will be people who kill you just because they can. Like when I was level 6 in Atreus Dock, I got attacked by a person with a long fire sword and a person with a blue glowy gun. I don't really even have time to process what they're doing and I'm already dead. This is the same with people playing on the Voidwalker Origin. Unfortunately, I do not have any footage of them, but I do have footage of me using the Chime of Conflict to demonstrate what it's like when every attack is just you getting knocked into the air, zapping through by some kind of attack, being frozen by ice, being barraged by projectile, and constantly being stunned. While I do get that I am by no means good at combat, but this can happen anywhere, including the towns. I would just be resting at a fire and trying to sell and organize my item, and some random person would just kill me, spawn a chest, and straight up disappear. Consider people playing Voidwalker. I doubt a normal person will say, "Wow, that person is a super experienced player, I'm probably gonna lose a life, but fighting people is so fun." Even if there's a person like that, the chime of conflict exists and many strong players are constantly in there and are willing to fight with people. I don't really like the implication that whether or not you get to play and enjoy the game is solely dependent on if a person feel like killing you or not. Another thing I don't understand is the reputation of the castaway. I saw the castaway are just people washed up on the shore of Etrius or Island of Vigils. It makes sense that you have a friendly reputation with Etria since they help you when you washed up. And Lost Shelter, which can assume that in the tutorial you will drown and escape with their help in the depths. The 100 Legions also kinda makes sense with them not liking most people at first unless the player is of the con aspect. I tried reading about the Knives of Alice and the Ministry, but it doesn't make sense that a washed up person will immediately be targeted by both these factions, unless they just don't like anyone related to Etrius, or until your character is strong enough to be deemed a threat to them. I understand there are so many more things that I did not see and experience, but this is also the exact reason I can't recommend Deepwoken as a game to the general audience. As with many things to unlock and get, it also means a lot of time to invest in. This includes training your personal skill level, leveling up, and getting better equipment, which can all disappear in the blink of an eye from a monster, or if someone just feels like it. This I feel like can be very mentally straining to most people when they spend so much time on a character. Anyway, this is pretty much all I have to say about Deepwoken.